Today I am Rishabh Bhardwaj, Assistant Professor in St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management, Kurnool, Gurgaon, taking third lecture of subject automobile. Earlier, we in the last lecture we had discussed about front wheel and the rear wheel drive. Now today we will going to study about four wheel drive. Before starting, we one question came to our mind: why we need four wheel drive when we have a front wheel drive for the economic purpose and the rear wheel for our heavy load transportation? What is the need of four wheel drive? Generally, four wheel drives have its own advantage, as in the trekking or inclined surfaces on hilly areas, mountain areas, we need continuous torque or continuous motion in our wheels. If we have four wheel drive, then there will no option that we will slip. Our tires will get slip, or we will move downward. Continuously we are just moving upward. It improves the traction and the handling of the vehicle at the hilly areas, and able to transmit torque to all four wheels, uh, provided the better gripping and inclination power. And simultaneously we have to discuss about the disadvantages of four wheel drive. That is, initially, high there it is a high cost and high weight. Moreover, but we have high advantages over there. We can bear high initial cost and the weight and the requirement special services and maintenance. If we have to do a special purpose work, then we can also survive, or we can also bear the special types of services and maintenance as per our requirement. If we are getting the power, if we are getting the traction control and handling on the hilly areas, if we have advantages, we can bear these disadvantages also. We don't have to worry about whether it will be costly or not. Let's start with what is 4 by 4 and what is 4 by 2. 4 by 4 means four wheel drive vehicles having four wheel can receive torque. It means all the wheels have power to rotate itself and produce power and allow the vehicles to move forward. And if we're talking about the 4 into 2, it means four wheels have power to rotate and two will move ideally. Next slide, we will study about the design of the four wheel four wheel drive design. Four wheel defined having some different components over there. If you can see it here, it is an engine, and we have a differential over there. We have in between we have propeller shaft or transmitting shaft. We have simultaneously front wheel axle and the rear wheel axle, but we have extra component, that is locking hub and the front wheel shaft. We have locking hub in which we can engage or disengage the front wheel. Otherwise the motion will be transmitted to the rear wheels, and the 4 by it will work as a 4 by 2. And if we lock hub, and then the power will also transmitting to the front wheels, and the motion will also transfer to the front wheel also, then the 4 by 4 will work. For front wheel drive can with an additional transfer case. Yes, if we have additional transfer case, it means our motion will have will allow a front wheel drive as well as the rear wheel drive. Initially, the four wheel initially it will be a front wheel drive vehicle, and extra transfer case will be installed, and through that the rear wheel also get the power to transmit its motion or torque. Here we have a diagram of transfer case, but we have input shaft. This is the shaft that comes from the transmission. Then we have a output source. In between we have a chain drive over here. This is your front output shaft. Otherwise the power will transmit through this side, output side. and we have connected a belt chain drive or a belt drive so that we can transfer simultaneously motion to its front drive. For that, no differential action will be provided. Now transfer we have to discuss about four wheel components. First is transfer case. Transfer case transmit power from the transmission to the front and the rear drive shaft. This is our transmission box or gearbox, we can say in layman language. We have a transfer case or additional transfer case. Initially if we cut up from this section, this is all portion for rear wheel drive component. The additional front wheel engagement locking hub, we can say that this is the locking hub for the front wheel axle engagement, and it will be it will be engaged with the help of chain drive or belt drive, as depending upon the suitability we can change chain drive or the belt drive. Now we have a mainly focused area of chain drive and the belt drive. This is our gearbox and this is our locking hub, and through the gears or channels we can transmit the power to the this is the power transmitted through gears. And here we can see we have put it a chain over the driver and the driven pulley, and and the power will be transferred from through chain drive. Then types of transfer cases, we have different type of transfer cases. First is drive chain design. It means we have a drive chain over there, which is commonly used, as chain life has have more power than belt and thing, and we have it has reliability as well as endurance and durability also. Gear type, we also have a gear type transfer case. In this we have a initially gear attachment of gears, where we don't want much space for the compactness of the system. We have put it a three gears, that is driver gear, idle gear, and a output gear. Idle gear will move ideally, there will be no pressure on this, there will be no pressure. This is only for the connectivity purpose. Drive shaft, basically the main component for front and the rear wheel differentials. The drive shaft connect our transmission box to the rear wheel drive. Drive shaft is the main component, is a hollow steel circular bar which transmit motion by rotating by get rotation from the transmission box to the rear wheel action component, that is differential. In between there is two CV type union connect CV joints, that is universal joint, by which it will get transfer and not get braked on heavy loads. This is the universal joint, or we can also called as CV joints. They are used to connect the front axle to the rear hubs. You can see that this is U joint, in which a U type or C type connection are there. They rotate and they have play to get much play for for the some movement. In case of inclination, it get locked up, or in case of declination it will get loose up. So from this action the U joint will not get break, and we have easily move our vehicle forward. Now we have a part-time four-wheel drive. Part-time four-wheel drive, and we have full-time four-wheel drive. Part-time four-wheel drive typically statement that two wheel will operated at at once. But whenever a driver wants to convert it into four-wheel drive, what will be he do? He will put or engage the front wheel also, and front wheel by help of locking hub, and the power will transmit it to the four wheels, and the output will get the better result for the driver. The driver can switch switch this action by the help of shifter, electric switches, and some locking hubs. Different cars have the different methods to lock this. Let's see in the figure that we have two high, two h, four two h, four high, four ld, and four auto. It means that this is the electric control type. Electric switches or electric lever allow the driver to select which axle receives power. Power can be directly by four wheels, two wheels, and none neutral. Neutral means none. Now vehicle have low speed range that can be selected. If we move to a low speed or high speed, we have to change our actions. Older designer may have a different axle ratios. This will result in the push pull type action if the vehicle is driven on drive pavement. This is called drive line pinned up. Now the control shift and manual shift lever. That's we have 2H, 4H and 4L and neutral. Manual shift lever, some vehicles have low speed range that can be selected. If you have to move low head, then we have go to 2H, and high speed, then we have to go 4H or 4L, and meanwhile we can do the same for the neutral. Now the last one is the locking hub. Locking hub is a manual automatic operation. It means we have a regulator type handle. If we rotate it, it will get freed up, sorry, free up or get locked up by the help of electrical parts. If we have studied about how it lock will work, we have initially drive hub, drive hub, and we have a drive axle over here, body assembly, spring, and a face. This is the manual hub. Free space lock. This is our face dialer which rotates, and we have a spring over there and body parts that rotate and engage and disengage the drive axle for the locking and the unlocking the tree. Automatic operation, vacuum electronic magnetical operations. We have a cap over there, cap. After that we have sealing rings, bearing race springs, bearing, lock ring, body, spinal spacer, C washer, and the hub. Cap assembly helps to helps for aesthetic purposes. Help in aesthetic purposes. Then sealing ring help to seal up the surfaces. Then bearing race spring. The bearing race spring help us to move the cap assembly outward when we press it. Inner lining race, the this is a device that holds the spring. Then bearing, we have a bearing so that it can rotate. Then we have a lock ring. Lock ring means we have a rubber o-ring shaped locking ring which will help the complete waterproof and the water resistant material, water resistant devices. Then we have a body help us to cover all the items. Then we have a sea washer help to lock the all the components. And then we have a spinal spacer, or we also can called as washer. This is the locking hub assembly we are talking about. Then we have a locking axles. What are the components for the locking axles we need? Or this is we can see in the diagram. This is the shaft, and shaft having the gear, clutch gear, then sleeve, then we have a housing and drive axle assembly. All these assemblies are assembled at once and allow them to move. Actuator assembly help us to actuate or provide actual work to the total assembly. The drive shaft is connected to the housing, and housing the groove that you have seen in this figure. The sleeves get fitted over there. Then we have a clutch gear, and then we will tie up the shaft over this. Then the shaft rotation will move the clutch gear and sleeves. Then housing will transmit the motion to the drive assembly, which will operated by the actual actuator assembly. Locking axle final differentiation will get open design when one axle is disconnected from the wheel and the spindle get rotate freely. Neither axle receives the torque and use of the open differential. Then we have a locking axle for Toyota's automatic disconnecting differential. It means we have a Toyota automatic disconnection differential. It means this this methodology or a mechanism is used in the or Toyota automobiles manufacturing company, in which they will have some electrical signals over there. We don't have to push or pull another things. We have only actuators and some electrical switches, so that it will transfer all the motion in a very easy way. Then we have a transfer case mode of operation. How the transfer case will provide a motion to the front wheel as well as the rear wheel. The range available for the part-time transfer is neutral. This in this diagram we are just seeing the diagram of free motion, neutral position. That is, power will transmit it to this axle annual gear freely moving right now, and this is the output source, and there is no engagement with the help with engagement with the annulus gear. Then the power input will move accordingly, and the other shaft will get driven shaft will be at stationary position, so no power will be transmitted. Then we have a arrangement of two highs. In this, the power input shaft and the driven shaft also get locked up and move simultaneously. In this case, the two-wheel drive will, the transfer of two-wheel will be to the power of two wheels will be transferred. In case of four-wheel drives, what will we have? You can see that the driver's pockets carrier. In this previous figure, we can see that this portion is free up. No, only this driven shaft will be move up, and this will be stationary. But now we can see the power is also being transmitted to the these sleeves, and the power will transmit to the four wheels. Earlier we have seen the two-wheel drives, and now we have here four-wheel drives. Four-wheel drives at the low end. Low end means this gray portion sees that this is a low range. The motion is at the low speed, and this is have a high speed. The blue portion shows the high speed range, and the dark gray shows the low speed range. It means the power input is moving highwards, the high speed, and the low, and the driven shaft is moving very low in the four-wheel drive. This action has been used for at a rocky place or the mountains, where we don't use high torque to cross over. That time we need to use low drive, four-wheel drive, but at low position, low driven shaft positions. Four-wheel drive constantly provide power to four or wheels. This system typically do not have a provision for low operating range. Axles and differentials are constantly locked, usually equipments with a center differential instead of transfer case. Now we have a full-time four-wheel drive. What do you mean by full-time and a part-time four-wheel drive? It means part-time four-wheel drive means we can engage or disengage our front wheel motion by help of manual operated, electrically operated, or automatic motions. But in four-wheel drive, we don't have an option for engaging and disengaging the system. In this, we have completely packed and interlocked connection in the transfer case, and we have put all the torque to the four wheels. Newer computer control design allowed for the different operating system. Ford automatic four-wheel drive. Ford automatic drive means this action or this mechanism has been introduced by the company Ford, and this expenditures have four-wheel auto, four-wheel high, four-wheel low. It means we have several opportunities, and we can do, and we have different modes. We can do at the auto mode or high mode and low mode, and many more for this purpose. On the demand of four-wheel drive, what will happen at the demand of four-wheel drive? This is ECU. ECU means electronic computation unit or electronic computing module. ECM and the ECU are the both are the same thing. We have a engine speed, which is controlled by the ECU, engine load which will be computed by the ECU, and the front axle speed sensor also is computed by ECU. All the things are be used for by the ECU. The front wheel action and the speed and all the things have been introduced by the ECU and rear wheel drive. All the demands and the supplies will be done by ECU itself. Now, four wheel drive system without a central differential. What will happen if we don't have tire size, same tire size? The motion of the wheels will get torque high and low if we alter the size of the tire. So we need tire size must all the same at the time when we use four-wheel drive. Thread wear must be similar. Thread wear, in the case of four-wheel drive, the all the wear and tear in the wheels will be same for all the tires. Not front wheel, two-wheel tires will get wear the most, or rear wheel will not get the wear. Simultaneously, all the wheels and wearing are same for all the tires. Tires change all the wheels must be done at a set of four. When the time at the time of replacement of the tires, that all the four wheel tires will be get replaced at once. Gear ratio should be same at front and rear differentials. It means the gear ratio and the motion and the speed of all front and the rear wheel will be same. Front wheel axle hub. Most of the axles are serviced like two-wheel drive system and follow recommended four-wheel hub, and some hubs are not serviceable and replaced. So we have different opportunities for studying the differential hubs, front axles, and we have a different guidelines also. What efforts if we modify or change in the vehicle? If we change installing large tires and lift kits means heightened suspension. Alter vehicles handling by changing the upfront springs. Mainly, if we change the tire over, will we put oversized tire, the torque will get reduced first. Second thing, the braking efficiency will get also increased, but the acceleration of the car will get decreased. We will not get much jerk during the off-roading. Increasing the tire size will increase the steering efforts. It will it will provide more stability, and but with the simultaneously we have high loading over the steering wheels, as we have to move the heavy tires from our head cause of rough ride. Every time you have to move very hard, move hard the steerings may cause vehicle to wander and vibrate. Now, if we increase the height of the suspension or the tires, maybe the vehicle body shivers and cause vibration and producing ping sounds, and not stable at the high speed. It may be dangerous for the vehicle to move at a high speed with the high high lifts of the high lifts of the suspensions. Possible drive shaft working angle issues. It may be possible if we increase the height of the tires or the wheels and the suspension, the transmitting shaft get change its angle and it will get turned up during the time of loading. Possible vehicle sensor issues. High tires may cause a failure of sensors of speed issues or acceleration issues. It will show the higher rate but the speed will be decreased up. Many necessary computing programs, the ECU also disengaging or causing error during the time of running. It will show some errors meanwhile. Yes, this is for today and we will discuss further in the next lecture. Thank you.